Hello and welcome back to Odds Now for the latest in our Euro 2024 betting preview series. We're going to be looking at Monday's two round of 16 matches, and it's two tasty matches on offer, especially the first one. France versus Belgium could be a real cracker. And then we have Portugal, who have been many people's star performers of this tournament so far, taking on Slovenia, who were a little bit of a surprise package getting out of Group C. It's myself, Matt Hill, and Brad Walker walking you through these games. We're going to give both of our individual best bets for these matches. So let's just get straight into the thick of things then. France versus Belgium is where we start, Brad, and what a cracking match this promises to be. Belgium started on the worst possible footing by losing their opener to Slovakia, but they managed to recover and get themselves through what was a really dramatic group in the end, all teams finishing level on 4 points. And that means that Belgium, who would have expected to win their group and end up on the favourable other side of the draw, like France, have ended up in this sort of draw from hell where only one of these can go through, and it does not get any easier from here for the victors. Let me tell you, they're going to have to do it the hard way if either of these teams are going to lift the European Championship later in July. France, meanwhile, I think we all expected them to top Group D, but that costly 0-0 draw with the Netherlands meant that it was a straight shootout between them, Netherlands and Austria, in the final game week, and Austria were the surprise winners of the group in the end, beating the Netherlands, while France couldn't find a way past already eliminated Poland. And I think it's fair to say Wojciech Szczesny had a bit of a worldy game against them, made some fantastic saves, particularly from Mbappe. A little bit of a controversial penalty for Poland being retaken, but anyway, they got through. They have not been convincing. Like in a similar ilk to England, I would say France have not hit top gear yet by any stretch, but they are a very, very dangerous beast in the knockouts. They come into this game as the even money favourites at the time of talking to win it, with a draw 23-10 and Belgium at just over 4-1. So France really are expected to progress through this. I wouldn't be backing France at evens to win this inside the 90. I admit they are the likeliest winners of this, but for me, I would just have a few reservations about the way that they've played thus far. But we all know the talent they've got in the ranks. Brad, how are you seeing this one?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. Probably, Matt. I think one thing to say about France is I don't think they're ever a side who tend to play well. I know that that's a strange thing to say, given they've reached two World Cup finals in the last two World Cups. Obviously, winning in 2018, coming up short last time out, and got to the final of the Euros in 2016 as well. But they almost seem to operate in moments rather from individual moments from their star players, like an Mbappe, who of course netted his first goal at a European Championships last time out from the spot against Poland. They, of course, will be boosted by his return. He played the full 90 in that game after missing the game against the Dutch after fracturing his nose against Austria on match day one. So that'd be a huge boost for France and Didier Deschamps as they look to get into the quarterfinals. Of course, they bowed out at the last 16 stage last time, in the last Euro, against Switzerland on penalties. They'll be wanting to avoid a similar fate this time around. I think, as you touched on there, neither were that impressive in the group stage. As you said, both finished second despite being expected to top their respective groups. And they are now on that difficult side of the draw. And France, at one point throughout the group stage, were favourites to win the entire tournament. Now they're fourth as a result, I suspect, of their underwhelming performances, but also the fact that they are on that competitive side of the draw. But what I will say is I think Belgium, the questions still rightly remain about their susceptibility at the back. And you look at the attacking players in that France squad, not just those who start, but the options they got to come off the bench as well. And I do back them to move past this Belgium side. I think they have too much of them. Belgium were so poor against Ukraine again. I think apart from the exception being Kevin De Bruyne, who ran himself into the ground really, because the rest of his team were really off the boil that day. And that's a Ukraine side, of course, who didn't even progress to the last 16. Okay, they had 4 points. I think it's the first time ever that a side's got 4 points at European Championships and not gone through. But still, yeah, Belgium have really, really struggled. I know they bounced back with a 2-0 win over Romania in match day 2. But yeah, they're going to have to really improve things. They're going to stand any chance of beating this France side. I do think France are rightly favourites and firm favourites to go through. And I'm expecting the Belgium golden generation, as it's being dubbed, even if this crop of players even counts as part of that golden generation anymore. I do back them to bow out with a whimper here. I think France I'm not going to give my best bet yet, but I do think France will go through.
You feel free to give your best bet, Brad, because I think I'm going to go in a different direction to yourself. So maybe you should go now after that explanation.
Yeah, I'm going to go with France to score 1.5 plus goals. That comes in at 5-4 at Betfair, and I think coming in over evens money, odds on against the Belgium side, who I said it, you just still got Jan Vertonghen playing for them. You know, the guy's been playing for years now, and he's still starting for them. I think, like I said, there are massive questions over their ability to keep balls out at the other end of the net, and I think that showed during the group stage, even against three sides that are nowhere near the quality of a France and the rest of the teams on that side of the draw. I do think France will I won't say enjoy their night. I think it'll be competitive. It's particularly they're both sides are very good going forward, but I think at the back there's too many questions about this Belgium side. I'm going to back France to net a couple on the way to winning this one.
Yeah, fair enough. France a popular bet at the market prices. I don't really want to get stuck into France. I want to see a little bit more of them. I'm not completely convinced with how these opening performances have gone yet. Obviously, I respect Kylian Mbappe's ability to win a match on his own, so I would never oppose them particularly lightly. But no, looking through the markets, there was nothing really jumping out at me in terms of France, so I wanted to go down the other route. I thought Kevin De Bruyne, someone you referenced there, I think he's been fantastic in this tournament. He's looked right at his best. He looks like a player to me who knows he maybe doesn't have too many more chances in these kind of tournaments. And while the Belgian team is one in transition, certainly in defence, he still marshals that midfield expertly. And the thing that surprised me about De Bruyne in the group stage is just how many shots and how many chances he's been getting away. He's actually taken 10 shots so far in the tournament, and ahead of the knockout stages, only Cristiano Ronaldo has taken more shots than him. And he's also played the second most key passes out of anybody as well. So he's been so involved at that top third of the pitch. He seems to be really, we've seen it for Man City as well in big moments. He's a player that enjoys shouldering responsibility in big games, and all eyes will be on him to produce here for this Belgian side. And while, you know, the likeliest route to go for Belgium traditionally has been De Bruyne feeding Lukaku, it looks to me like he's trying to take things into his own hands a little bit. And I really think there's some juice in his goal scorer prices. So I want to back him to score any time. I think that was 5-1 any time, best price, which I think is really, really fair given you've got the full 90 minutes on your side there. As I say, take a 10 shots in 3 games, so you can be assured that he's going to be pulling the trigger at any opportunity he gets. And we all know the quality that De Bruyne possesses. And I don't think this France defence has looked entirely settled thus far. So I'm happy to take that price on. And if I'm backing him any time, I should have just half a point on him to score first at 14-1 as well. So I will just have a very small play on that as well. That's the way that I'm going to play this game. In terms of a winner, I think it's fair to say France are the likeliest, but that would only be because of Belgium's suspect-looking defence. I've not been particularly impressed with anything they've done thus far. And Tedesco is going to probably go at them. And I think it'll be an interesting indicator, even if France do get through, of how they manage to cope with being put under some pressure from a good attacking outfit. And Belgium, you know, not the best group stage performances from them, but they're through. They're not expected to win this match. They can play with the shackles off a little bit, and that could be a dangerous combination with their attacking quality, the likes of Doku, the likes of Openda coming off the bench as well, all capable of causing this French side problem. So I'm looking forward to watching this game, and we shall see how that pans out. But we'll move on to the second contest of the evening, which is Portugal. As I say, many people's favourites now, not in the betting, but certainly in the eyes of a lot of punters. A lot of people wanted to be with them pre-tournament, and they haven't disappointed in the group stages. Did suffer a 2-0 loss to Georgia in their last game, but it's important to point out that they were already through as group winners by that point, and Georgia needed the result to go through. So perhaps shouldn't be too surprised by that result, especially when we factor in the multitude of changes that Portugal made. They've had a decent draw here, it must be said. They play a Slovenia side who got through with a 0-0 draw against England, but we all know how unconvincing England have been in attacking areas in this tournament thus far. Slovenia came for the 0-0 and got the 0-0, and it was an inspired defensive performance. But even towards the end of that match, England were just starting to fashion a few chances with a little bit more direct attacking and passes, and I'm sure Portugal and Roberto Martinez will have taken note of England's joy late in that match by going a little bit more direct amazed at this Slovenia defence with their running and with their passing. And Portugal certainly have the players to pick these aggressive forward passes. Players like Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, you would think will be able to pierce and penetrate this Slovenian backline, which, as well as they've done, they've probably not come up against a top-class functioning forward outfit yet, which Portugal certainly have been in the group stages. So unsurprisingly, the market has got this massively in favour of Portugal. At the time of speaking, you can almost have any price you like on Slovenia. But knockout football is very rarely that straightforward. Portugal 4-9 to win this inside 90 minutes. Slovenia will hope to frustrate them. They do go direct on the in terms of their attack. They didn't have much joy with that against England, it should be said. Portugal have looked pretty good defensively in this tournament, certainly in the first two games so far. I'm struggling to find an angle where Slovenia win this match, Brad. I don't know about you.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. What I will say, I think I've still got a few questions about this Portugal side. I don't think they were great against Czech Republic. They did look good against Turkey, but Turkey have been leaking chances left, right, and centre throughout this tournament so far. And then obviously you mentioned the loss to Georgia, which, okay, it was their second string 11, but it was still a very good second string 11. I think it's fair to say in that one. But then, like you said, they're on that harder side of the draw now, but you have to look at the names in their team. Yeah, of course, you're going to be expecting them to deal with Slovenia and deal with them handedly, really. Slovenia, as you mentioned there, they come through. They've been delighted with that. The first time ever reaching the knockout stages at a major tournament as an independent nation, drawing all three of their matches. They conceded lots of chances, though, against the likes of Denmark and Serbia. I think they averaged 1.62 expected goals against in those games. They did keep England out, but as you said, Matt, England looked pretty toothless themselves throughout the group stage overall. With Portugal's attacking talent, I expect them to deal with them, and like I said, deal with them quite handily. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a tight game. You never know, like you said, Slovenia, if they're going to set up and put 11 men behind the ball and try and frustrate Portugal, and he could chance himself either from a set piece or on the counter attack. But yeah, I'm going to go with Portugal, to win this one fairly comfortably. And I'm going to get. Should I give my best bet now, or do you want to
go for it? Go for it.
I'm going to go Portugal, similar to the France bet. I'm going to go with Portugal to score 2.5 plus goals. That comes in at 2-1. Generally, I just think with their attacking players, Cristiano Ronaldo as well will have a little bit between the teeth. He wants that first goal, doesn't he? You can see that against Georgia. He's getting very, very frustrated. He's desperate to get off the mark in this tournament. And then you look at the players around him as well: Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, and the like. I have to go through all of them. Rafael Leao as well, of course, who will be back for this game after missing the Georgia game through suspension. So yeah, I'm going to go with Portugal with 2.5 plus goals in this one.
Yeah, and I'll bring our best bet up onto the screen now because I'm going to go with, I'm going to cover two correct scores here. This is how I see this game panning out. Portugal to win 2-0, which is 5-1, or to win 3-0, which is 8-1. I'm going to have a point on each of those. I just think this is, and I'm willing to eat my words here, this looks on paper to be the most predictable of the games in terms of how it's going to pan out. Slovenia have drawn their last four matches in all competitions. They drew before coming into the tournament. They've drawn their three group games. They will come for a draw again. This is what they're good at doing, frustrating teams, rigid shape, and just not showing too much ambition in attacking areas. But I ultimately think Portugal will find a way through. It might take them a little while, but they just have too many good progressive passers in that midfield for me to not fashion out a few chances. And like you say, Ronaldo just seems to be getting angrier by the minute. But I will give him some credit here. He's already provided one assist in this tournament, and he doesn't mind making the correct decision now. When he has to square it, he will. And I actually think he's played pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised if he still got himself into the Golden Boot mix because he's not doing an awful lot wrong. He's getting himself in the right positions. They're just not quite falling for him. There's been some fantastic blocks. He probably could have had a penalty or two in the group stage, to be fair to him. So he's ready to go. He's ready to explode at any moment. But I don't see Slovenia getting absolutely hammered. I think 2 or 3-0 is about right. And Portugal don't have any reason to make this 4, 5, 6. 3-0 would be the best score for both of our bets there. And that is kind of where I'm leaning more. If I had to pick between the two, that's kind of where I see it. But yeah, I could have backed Portugal to win 0. That would be the safer play. But I think covering 2 and 3-0. That's very much the region I feel this game is going to end up in. So that's the way I've played it. Brad's gone with Portugal to score over 2.5 goals, 2-1, which is also a bit of juice in that price. So hopefully they've helped you kind of guide your way towards how you want to play these two matches. We'll take them off the screen now. Yeah, so we're going through all of the last 16 games here on the Odds Now YouTube channel. You can also catch our written previews over on oddsnow.com. We've got individual match previews up there, and we'll continue to do so right until the tournament end. Make sure you let us know who you're backing for these two games in the comments. Give the thumb up on the video if you've enjoyed it, and if you haven't already subscribed, we're very close to 100 subscribers at the time of talking. Maybe we'll have surpassed that by the time you watch this, fingers crossed, but please do subscribe. Consider subscribing. You get a notification bell every time we post, and it is free, so we really appreciate it if you do subscribe. Thanks for watching Odds Now. We'll be back again with more previews very soon.